think that 60
the Palestinian people who are here, and we're making arms deal with Israel.
Confronting these ghosts.
Are you being accused
Our government, our tax
by the
money
future
is
generation?
going to
keep us all informed in the present and to secure documentation that can bring about justice in the future.
I've been in this Palestine activism for many years, and absolutely now is the kind of peak. It's quite well organized. It's no game, it's no fun. We are just having activism for a week, and it's been, like you said, for 9 months, almost every week, demonstrations in Helsinki and also in other cities. Different kind of demonstrations, discussions, panels, and also the Students for Palestine demonstration in front of Helsinki University. Even the summer camp this summer. So people are educating themselves about this issue and doing, I would say, kind of hardcore activism, because, you know, it's long-term activism, and it has to be long-term activism because Israel is not going to give up easily, and the US is not going to give up easily, and it looks like Finnish government is not giving up easily. So I'm very proud of people, especially new young people who has activated themselves and interested and very committed to the Palestinian question. It's no freelancer, it's heavy activism, and it's going to continue. We're going to continue.
Those who are protesting and opposing the government are simply aware about how dangerous and horrifying the complicity of Finland in this genocide, so they free themselves from the government actions, believing that being silent means that the Finnish government decisions is on their name. And those who are silent are indirectly supporting those decisions by not opposing but financing, which means being part of the government crimes against humanity, and in our current catastrophe, against the Palestinians. To show the truth, I had to search myself and speak with those who are more aware about the dirty side of this country, and to what level Finland is complicit.
ICJ has just stated that Israel is illegally occupying Palestine. Instead, our government continues to support the illegal occupation. They continue to support an apartheid state. They spend hundreds of millions of euros, our tax euros, to buy these weapons from Israel, from a country that constantly violates human rights.
Finland is absolutely complicit in genocide and has been complicit in apartheid and occupation for decades, simply financing Israel doing trade. 40% of Finland's arms trade, which are tested on the ground in Gaza and West Bank.
In order to explain what Outi said, how these arms are tested on the ground, I picked this interview from AG Plus channel, where the US former air defense engineer talks about how it works, where the arms are tested, and who is the target.
So we're working on technology in the United States that we have a lot of constraints for safety and things that if you wanted, from a purely kind of pragmatic, like better test data, they could just go test it in Israel. And me making something more efficient or lethal or whatever could have direct consequences on Palestinians in Gaza or the West Bank. And so, yeah, to some degree, I did feel complicit. And I think Gaza is just, again, disproportionately what they're doing with some of their drones and their AI targeting systems, Lavender, Gospel, like learning more about that and seeing the parallels to the research and the work I was doing. That was a shift change for me, where it's like, I'm not just going to leave and be quiet about it. I actually want to make some noise.
The UN International Court of Justice has condemned Israel's apartheid and its occupation on the West Bank, East Jerusalem and Gaza as completely illegal. According to the International Court of Justice, it is the duty of all states to help to put an end to these crimes, for example, by ending all economic relations with Israel.
So I think it is outrageous that Finland, who portrays itself as a progressive country for human rights, is now in this situation of a genocide in Palestine, doing all the bad things a state can do, like doing arms trade with Israel. There's Israeli products all over the Finnish shops.
In addition to the brands and products, it's important to mention the investors, such as Procter & Gamble, that has a research and development center in Tel Aviv, the occupied Palestine, since 2007, in which it invests $2 billion annually. This company owns a huge list of brands that we use in our everyday life, and we can find everywhere in Finland. We can understand the strong commitment of Finland to support this apartheid state through statistics. Specifically, whenever there is an aggression from Israel against the Palestinians, there is an increase of raw material and product exchange. It shows in the massacre against the Palestinians 2014, then it decreases noticeably the year after. We notice again a significant growth 2022 by hundreds of million euros, and it stays very high during the genocide 2023. Even though the export slightly decreases, we find the imports from Israel to Finland increases by 15%.
If you look at the Finnish gross domestic product, we are we're a small country, but if you compare that to our gross domestic product, we are one of the biggest supporters of Israel in the arms trade. So yes, we are doing terrible decisions. Finland is doing terrible. We are breaking international law all the time.
Now the government is very much supporting Israel. It showed their true skin when Finland stopped the funding of UNHCR in the middle of hunger and famine. It's just unbelievable that that happened for 2 months, I think, and nobody could stop it. The media was also not very brave in that, believing right away the Finnish minister, but not questioning him. And the mainstream media is using a lot Israeli official information and propaganda. To me, it seems that they don't question the Israeli sources. Usually in the news, it's like Israeli defense minister says, prime minister says, and there's no fact check whatsoever. But when it comes to the Gaza point of view, it's always like the terrorist organization, Hamas, and so on. So they keep on reminding that there's not reliable information and more reliable. That also affects the public opinion, which is very dangerous. So in some cases, one could say that the media is also complicit in genocide when they don't do their job properly.
314 days. And so far Finland is within the worst countries on the level of decisions related to the situation of the Palestinians and the genocide that we're witnessing live streamed every day.
What do you think about that?
I think it's horrible. Shows that this country has a lot of work to do on racism and colonialism. Finland has been proud of its history as a country that stands for human rights, doesn't take sides and kind of negotiates between different groups in wars, and I think that this shows that that's not really what the country is.
So I learned from the journalist that about
63% of Finns said they don't accept the Israeli actions in Gaza.
but still the government is not reflecting the voice of its people.
The government doesn't do that, and governments in general don't do that when it comes to what they consider the national interest, and they think that they are the best judge of that. We're seeing that now. We saw the same thing 20 years ago in the Iraq War. There was huge opposition to the Iraq War in Europe and the United States, but that didn't stop anybody from doing it. It slowed it down and it changed it. Just like I think our opposition now isn't stopping the genocide, but I think it is having an effect on how it happens, how quickly and how bad it happens. To think that 60% of the country are opposed to what's happening, and still we have a government that is keeping ties with Israel and trading with Israel and so forth. It makes me imagine what would happen if they didn't have opposition on the streets, how far they would go.
I was filming today the demonstration and the reactions of people. So I saw a lot of positive reactions. Also, I spotted one or two, they were against the demonstration. What makes me more afraid are those passive ones. So, what is the way, in your opinion, to reach those people?
People just want to be comfortable. So they just want to stay in that comfort. And it's really, like, these are very difficult feelings you have to go through when you realize that our country and yourself, you're complicit in genocide. And you have to be willing to sit with very uncomfortable feelings. And I think that is something very hard to reach for a person who comes from an extreme place of privilege. And many of the white Finnish people do come from that place. But I find this to happen through personal connections. A demonstration feels just like a disturbance to them, but if they talk to the right person and they're in the right place, they might find the common ground. I've found this to happen with people who are close to me.
To say that people who don't say anything, who are not participating in bringing justice to Palestine are bad and evil, that causes more division. We have to find ways of building bridges, of using different tactics to bring people on, to change opinion. Many and that is activism on the street, civil disobedience, of resistance, all kinds of ways, and also dialogue. We must force people, appeal to their humanity.
I think it's our job politically as people to make people care about what's happening. And I think there are lots of ways to do that. Demonstrations are one of the ways, and also all of the other things that have been happening. There have been concerts, there have been art events, there have been talks and panels, and all of these things have an impact. And I've seen in the 11 months we've been doing this, more and more support from people as we demonstrate, but also as I walk around the city wearing this or whatever Palestinian symbol. More and more people give me a peace symbol or say something in support than they did before. I have seen, both in individual people, but also in institutions and in political parties in Europe, achieve a political consciousness in the last year that they didn't have before. I've seen the left talk about colonialism in a way that it didn't before. And so I would say that Palestine and the ongoing resistance, the Sumud in Palestine, the perseverance in Palestine, is teaching the left in the West, which has fallen asleep, what political liberation is, what liberation is, and what politics is, and how to fight for it.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From Kuopio to Palestine.
From Kuopio to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime.
Occupation is a crime.
And I stand here with a very, very heavy heart, like so many of you, as a Jew. And Israel, this apartheid state, claims to be doing this in my name, and I say no. We all have to stand for the people of Palestine, because there will never be peace until there's justice. We are living with ghosts, basically. This is the thing, we're living with ghosts. We have got ghosts all around us, and somehow we have to appease the ghosts.
Kuten arabimaissa on nämä ihmisoikeudet ja seksuaalivähemmistöjen oikeudet ja muut, nehän on.
Hearing them, hearing the poison. Okay, ask me.
What do you do to Israelis
when you free Palestine? What do you think about the mindset of this politician if he asks this kind of question?
It's just a representation of how you are not actually seeing the other person, because you created your state on the misery of the other, so you live in perpetual fear that the other's call of freedom can only happen through your own extermination. If people are living in that kind of fear, this is not how usually oppressed people think. People who are oppressed, whether they are First Nations, Aboriginals, South Africans, and now the Palestinians, all what they want is living in that land in peace, and everyone treated as an equal. If this question about what comes after, it will be about living the life, to love, and for people to love them, and for them to love other people, and to be able to conduct their life. And the Palestinian children are capable to go to school without going through checkpoints. They are able to visit the sea, to enjoy the life, to be able to do all these things that we over here take for granted.
So Palestine became an idea of liberation, guys. This is very important. That's why we see Palestine as an internationalist, as an intersectionalist place. It brings a lot of connections together. Those Palestinians have always wanted full justice, not an abstract justice. And that is the power of the idea. They hold on to what is right and reject what is wrong. All the time, throughout all this more than 76 years, they have done this. So that kind of making Palestine, the Palestinian cause alive all this time, have actually brought a lot of life to a lot of people who was fighting for justice and against oppression worldwide. And that is the power of the idea of Palestine, and why people until today, millions all over the planet, are actually protesting every Saturday in support of Palestine.
The amazing thing is that in all of this, right, Palestinians have not lost their humanity. That gives us incredible courage. That's the spark that can give us hope.
So, as a journalist, what do you believe you are doing by documenting? Is it bringing any result?
I think reporting of demonstrations is important because people who are not able to attend the demonstrations, they can see it, get inspired, they can arrange their own demonstration. This has happened in many cities in Finland. The demonstrations have become more and bigger, so the movement has been growing.
Are we achieving something? I mean, the concrete result?
I think the escalation is now so big. There is Palestine, Gaza and West Bank, and then these Lebanon attacks. This is all escalating, that Finland also has to do something. It cannot be any more silent, because Finland's policy has been to be silent. And now it cannot be anymore. Finland voted for the UN resolution with most of the countries in the world to demand Israel to stop the occupation within the year. If it doesn't happen, the countries must be ready to sanction Israel, to stop arms trade and such. I personally know that the president is very aware of this movement and is thinking like how to react to us. Getting government and president kind of alert is achievement, and we are going to follow how is our government and president react to this resolution.
I mean, we always wonder, well, what impact do we have as journalists, filmmakers, photographers, as people who witness I've been doing this for 40 years now. I don't think we can change the world with our work, but we do make a difference, we do.
But we try to protect the right history or like the right image about what's going on in reality. I'm not alone here with camera. There are like many people taking pictures, telling stories, talking about some news that doesn't show on Finnish TV or like Western media. So yeah.
There's going to be evidence. Whatever we do, it's a form of witnessing, it's a form of evidence. The mere fact of witnessing, I think, is hugely important. Yeah, we are witnessing. If we get through to one person, if we get through to a few people, we don't know what that person might do. Even though sometimes it can be frustrating, depressing. Are we just one more form of a product that we're putting out there, this product of information, one more post, social media post that is consumed by people?
Do you think through making videos about the demonstrations and being active on social media to inform people is going to make a change?
That's the goal, to bring awareness to people, be informative, to show the world exactly what's going on. Obviously, some people think it doesn't make any difference, but in my opinion, it does.
And we trust that the momentum will build, and that in our hearts know that we're doing this because we're doing the right thing. There's no choice. We have to continue. We have to do it. For our kids, they are the ones who are going to judge us. And our grandchildren, they will not judge us. But we must have resilience. Yeah, the word Sumud, right? We have to get up every morning and we have to continue.
Niin.